Ever wonder why some women walk into a room and instantly command attention, not because they're loud, not because they're trying too hard, but because something about them radiates confidence? That's what we're talking about today. This is about how an average woman becomes absolutely magnetic, not by changing who she is, but by learning to rise, lead, and move with undeniable self-respect. Self-worth doesn't ask for validation because it already understands its value from within, not from the noise around it. It is the silent recognition that even when no one notices, you still matter. It's the kind of power that comes from knowing your worth is not tied to compliments, attention, or approval. Many people spend their lives searching for someone to affirm them, waiting for recognition to make them feel valuable. But self-worth grows in the moments you stand alone and still know you're enough. It's the quiet decision to keep showing up when no one applauds, to keep believing in your vision when others doubt, and to stop bending yourself to fit the mold of someone else's comfort. The woman who owns her worth doesn't depend on external validation. She understands that her value doesn't fluctuate based on someone's opinion or attention. She walks with calm confidence because she no longer seeks to prove herself. Her energy shifts from trying to be accepted to simply being authentic. She knows that her presence alone carries meaning. When she speaks from conviction, not from fear. When she acts from intention, not from insecurity. She is not driven by who likes her or who doesn't, because her worth is not a negotiation. It is a truth she lives in every day. Self-worth transforms the way you carry yourself. You stop chasing the things and people that make you feel small. You begin to realize that what you settle for says more about how you see yourself than what the world offers you. The more you understand your worth, the less you tolerate disrespect disguised as love or attention disguised as care. You stop being impressed by bare minimum effort and start valuing consistency, respect, and emotional safety. You stop over-explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer feel the need to prove your goodness to anyone because you've already proven it to yourself through how you live, how you love, and how you rise after being broken. Every rejection becomes redirection, every loss becomes clarity, and every disappointment becomes a lesson in what you truly deserve. When a woman finally realizes her worth, she doesn't seek the spotlight to feel important. She becomes the light. Her calmness, her presence, her peace, and her standards begin to speak for her. She walks into rooms differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. She knows that her energy is her signature and that no one can imitate authenticity. She's no longer desperate to be chosen because she has chosen herself. The same people who once overlooked her start to notice the shift, not because she became someone new, but because she stopped dimming who she already was. That's what self-worth does. It makes you magnetic without effort. People sense the peace, the strength, and the certainty that radiates from you. You become unshakable in situations that used to make you question yourself because you no longer look outside for what you already possess within. True self-worth doesn't scream. It whispers in quiet moments when you remind yourself that you are still enough even when no one claps. It shows in the boundaries you set, in the standards you uphold, and in the way you treat yourself when no one is watching. It grows stronger every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you and yes to something that helps you grow. It's not something you find, it's something you build, layer by layer, choice by choice. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize you're not behind, you're just becoming. And the more you honor your own path, the more peace you attract. You stop measuring yourself by how much you do or how much others approve, and instead, you measure by how aligned you feel with your truth. Self-worth teaches you that love, respect, and recognition are beautiful when they come, but they are not your foundation. Your foundation is built from the unshakable belief that you are whole, worthy, and enough exactly as you are. Confidence isn't built overnight. It's shaped through the quiet repetition of small choices that reinforce who you are becoming. It's the result of countless moments when you decide to show up despite fear, to speak when your voice shakes, to try again after failing, and to believe in yourself when doubt feels louder than courage. Confidence doesn't come from a single breakthrough moment or a grand victory. It comes from the daily decision to keep going, to keep choosing growth over comfort, and to keep believing that you are capable of more. It starts small, in the unseen details of your day, in the way you carry yourself, the way you handle setbacks, and the way you talk to yourself when no one else is listening. The woman who is truly confident doesn't rely on external validation or comparison. She knows her worth because she has earned it through resilience and persistence. She doesn't confuse confidence with perfection. She understands that confidence is about showing up fully, even when she feels uncertain. It's about trusting herself to figure it out no matter what happens. Confidence grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. When you say you'll do something and actually do it, you strengthen your belief in your own reliability. You learn to trust yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation for confidence. It's built through discipline, through the moments you could give up but don't, through the times you feel invisible but still choose to show up. It's not about being fearless, it's about moving forward even when fear stands in front of you. You stop waiting to feel ready because you realize readiness is an illusion. True confidence begins the moment you take action without guarantees. It's the ability to step into the unknown and believe you'll figure it out along the way. You learn that progress matters more than perfection, that mistakes are not proof of weakness, but evidence of courage. You begin to see every failure as a teacher, every obstacle as an opportunity to grow stronger. The woman who builds her confidence this way learns that setbacks don't define her, they refine her. She stops hiding behind excuses and starts owning her journey with grace and honesty. Confidence changes your energy. It shifts the way you walk into a room, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you've already impressed yourself with how far you've come. You don't need to announce your worth because it speaks through your presence. People can feel it. They can sense that you're grounded, that you know who you are and what you stand for. Confidence becomes your quiet language. It's in your tone, your posture, and your calmness under pressure. You don't need to compete or prove yourself because you know that what's meant for you cannot be taken. Confidence allows you to celebrate others without feeling threatened, to admire someone else's success without questioning your own. It turns comparison into inspiration and insecurity into motivation. It teaches you to appreciate your uniqueness and to stop apologizing for it. Confidence is not about always being strong. It's about allowing yourself to be real. It's being able to admit when you don't know something without feeling lesser, being able to ask for help without shame, and being able to keep faith when life feels uncertain. It's built in the small victories no one sees, the quiet mornings when you push yourself to rise again, and the difficult nights when you choose hope instead of giving up. Confidence doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It means you don't let doubt stop you. You carry both fear and faith, but you choose faith every time. You stop basing your confidence on outcomes and start basing it on effort, knowing that as long as you're growing, you're winning. You learn to give yourself grace for the days you struggle and celebrate the days you succeed. You realize that true confidence isn't loud or arrogant. It's steady, it's grounded, and it's deeply peaceful. It's the quiet certainty that you've been through worse and still found your way. You no longer need to pretend to be fearless because real confidence comes from embracing every part of you, both the strong and the scared, and moving forward anyway. Boundaries create attraction because they show self-control and clarity. They are not walls built to keep people out, but filters that protect your peace, your energy, and your emotional space. The woman who understands her worth learns that saying no is not rejection, it's direction. Boundaries are not about being cold or distant. They are about knowing what you will and will not allow into your life. When you have clear boundaries, You communicate self-respect without saying a word. You show that your time, your emotions, and your attention are valuable, and that not everyone gets unlimited access to them. People are drawn to those who know how to protect their space because it shows discipline and self-awareness. It says you know your limits, you understand your priorities, and you refuse to trade peace for approval. Boundaries are the foundation of healthy attraction, not because they push people away, but because they teach others how to approach you with respect. When a woman learns to set boundaries, her energy shifts. She stops overgiving to people who only take, she stops explaining her worth to those who don't listen, and she stops apologizing for putting herself first. She begins to understand that boundaries are not selfish, they are acts of self-preservation. She's not trying to control others, she's simply choosing not to abandon herself. That choice changes everything. She no longer feels drained or resentful because she no longer gives more than she can afford. Her relationships start to feel lighter, more genuine, and more balanced. She attracts people who value mutual respect and repels those who only seek to use her kindness for convenience. Her boundaries create a natural filter that separates the genuine from the opportunistic. People sense her strength, her self-respect, and her emotional stability, and that quiet confidence becomes magnetic. Boundaries are powerful because they show emotional maturity. They mean you are no longer operating from a place of fear or guilt, but from a place of awareness and balance. You're no longer afraid to lose people because you understand that anyone who truly respects you won't be threatened by your boundaries. You stop seeking connection through self-sacrifice and start seeking it through alignment. You learn that peace is far more valuable than constant approval. You begin to see that your energy is your most valuable currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. Boundaries help you maintain emotional clarity in situations that once caused confusion or chaos. They allow you to observe instead of absorb, to respond instead of react, and to stay grounded instead of drained. The woman with boundaries doesn't live in defense, she lives in control. She doesn't need to prove her strength. It's visible in how she carries herself, how she chooses her battles, and how she doesn't engage in what doesn't serve her. When you have boundaries, you attract people who mirror that same level of respect. You create a standard that others naturally follow. The right people don't see your boundaries as distance, they see them as direction. They understand that respect creates closeness, not restriction. Boundaries make relationships healthier because they're rooted in honesty. They remove guesswork, prevent emotional burnout, and allow genuine connection to grow. You no longer fear confrontation because you've learned that discomfort is part of self-respect. You stop explaining why you need space, why you can't always be available, or why you're not okay with certain things because you've accepted that you are not here to please everyone. The more you practice boundaries, the more confident you become in standing by them. You start to realize that your energy is not meant to be spread thin to be appreciated. It's meant to be focused where it's valued. Boundaries transform the way you live and love. They allow you to move through life with dignity and control. You begin to feel lighter because you no longer carry the weight of other people's expectations. You stop overcompensating to earn love because you know that real love doesn't demand you to lose yourself. Boundaries create balance between giving and receiving, between caring and overextending, between connection and self-protection. They help you love from a full heart, not from an empty one. People become drawn to your stability because it reflects strength and self-assurance. You no longer attract chaos, you attract peace, and that peace becomes your power, the kind that doesn't shout but speaks clearly, the kind that doesn't demand but commands respect through presence, intention, and unwavering clarity. Growth begins when you stop chasing approval and start embodying peace. It's a quiet shift that happens deep within when you realize that your value is not determined by how many people like you, agree with you, or applaud you. For so long, many people live in a cycle of performance, doing whatever it takes to be accepted, to be seen as good enough, to be loved without conditions. But true growth starts the moment you stop needing validation from the outside world and begin giving yourself the acceptance you've always searched for. When you no longer crave constant approval, you start living with freedom. You stop shaping your identity around the expectations of others and start standing firmly in your truth. You begin to see that peace isn't found in trying to make everyone happy. It's found in honoring who you really are, even if it disappoints others. This is where your evolution begins, not in becoming someone different, but in returning to who you've always been beneath the layers of trying. As you stop chasing approval, your energy begins to shift. You no longer waste time trying to convince people to understand you or accept you. You start realizing that not everyone will see your heart the way you do, and that's okay. Growth teaches you that alignment is more important than attention. You no longer say yes when you want to say no, and you stop apologizing for choosing peace over people-pleasing. You learn that boundaries, solitude, and silence are not rejection. They're reflection. They are where you find your true power, your clarity, and your peace. When you stop needing to prove yourself, life feels lighter. You no longer carry the weight of trying to be everything to everyone. You understand that you're not responsible for how others perceive your choices. You're responsible for staying true to yourself even when it's uncomfortable. You no longer react to every opinion because you've found comfort in your own perspective. You learn to let go not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understand that peace is more valuable than control. Growth also means learning to be okay with being misunderstood. When you stop chasing approval, you realize that not everyone will understand your journey, your healing, or your boundaries. You start to accept that being misunderstood is a small price to pay for being authentic. You understand that your peace doesn't require explanation. You no longer rush to defend yourself because you know that people who truly know you don't need convincing. You start choosing stillness over chaos, truth over comfort, and alignment over validation. That's where real power begins to grow. The approval you once chased loses its grip because you finally understand that your worth is not something others get to decide. You begin to protect your energy more carefully. You no longer let guilt drive your decisions, and you stop overthinking how others might interpret your peace. This stage of growth is uncomfortable because it asks you to detach from everything you used to depend on for self-assurance. But it's also freeing because it gives you back your power. The more you embody peace, the more magnetic you become. You begin to walk differently because you no longer move from a place of fear or urgency. You respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. You speak less but with more intention. You smile without needing a reason because your peace is not situational, it's internal. You become aware that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every invitation deserves your presence. You realize that silence can be powerful, that walking away doesn't mean weakness, and that calmness is a form of confidence. Growth transforms how you handle pressure because you've learned that not everything requires your involvement. You start choosing to protect your peace over proving your point. You stop explaining why you're no longer the same, because your peace speaks louder than any justification could. You stop chasing closure from others because you've learned to give it to yourself. The approval you once sought becomes irrelevant when you start approving of your own path. You understand that growth is not about changing for people to love you. It's about changing so you can love yourself more deeply. The moment you embrace peace as your new standard, your life starts to align naturally. Your confidence strengthens quietly, and your energy becomes calm but commanding. True magnetism is quiet power that doesn't demand attention because it naturally attracts it. It's not about being the loudest in the room or constantly proving your worth. It's about the calm, grounded energy that makes people feel drawn to you without even knowing why. This kind of power can't be faked or forced because it's built from deep self-awareness and emotional balance. When a woman becomes magnetic, she moves differently. She no longer chases, she aligns. She no longer begs to be noticed. She simply shows up as herself, and that authenticity becomes impossible to ignore. Her presence feels steady, her words carry weight, and her silence holds meaning. She doesn't need to dominate the space to own it. She just exists with intention, and that alone speaks volumes. True magnetism is not born from ego or perfection. It's born from peace, from the kind of confidence that doesn't shout but resonates. The magnetic woman doesn't seek validation because she has already built a relationship with herself strong enough to sustain her. She knows her worth without needing constant reminders. She's not interested in competing with others because she understands that no one can replicate her essence. That energy, that sense of calm certainty makes people curious. They want to know her, understand her, be around her, because she carries a sense of security and self-trust that's rare. Her power is not in what she says, but in what she embodies. She listens deeply, speaks with intention, and walks away from anything that disrupts her peace. Her boundaries are firm, her presence is soft, and together they create a balance that's both strong and graceful. This combination of peace and strength is what pulls people in. It's what makes her magnetic. She doesn't have to announce her value because her energy already does it for her. True magnetism also comes from emotional maturity. It's knowing how to regulate your reactions, how to protect your energy, and how to respond instead of react. The magnetic woman doesn't chase chaos or drama because she's learned that stillness is her superpower. She understands that her peace is expensive and not everyone deserves access to it. She doesn't try to convince people of her worth or argue to be understood. She lets her consistency speak louder than her words. People are drawn to that kind of certainty because it's rare in a world full of noise and insecurity. She becomes a mirror for others, reflecting the strength and calm they wish they had within themselves. The power of her energy shifts the environment around her, not because she tries to control it, but because she is in control of herself. Being magnetic isn't about physical appearance or external charm. It's about energy alignment. It's when your inner world matches your outer actions. It's when your peace isn't dependent on others and your happiness isn't conditional. The magnetic woman knows how to detach from things that drain her, how to walk away from people who disturb her clarity, and how to protect the space she's built within herself. She's not trying to please or perform. She's just living in truth, and that truth shines brighter than any facade ever could. She becomes a magnet, not by doing more, but by being more present, more aware, more authentic. People feel safe around her because she's safe within herself. They feel inspired by her because she's genuine, not performative. They feel connected to her because she carries no pretense, only presence. This quiet power doesn't fluctuate based on attention or approval. It stays steady because it's rooted in self-respect. The woman who embodies this kind of magnetism isn't focused on being liked. She's focused on being aligned. She knows that the right people will be drawn to her peace, not her performance. Her value doesn't decrease because someone fails to see it. She's magnetic because she radiates self-acceptance and emotional stability, and those qualities naturally command respect. Her presence has a way of making others reflect, pause, and feel. Without trying, she becomes unforgettable, not because she forced attention, but because she embodied authenticity so deeply that it left an imprint. True magnetism is effortless when it's rooted in self-awareness, and it becomes the purest expression of quiet, unwavering power.